I think the devil's dance. You think
Mikey, can you please unmute yourself?
Here we go. What's up? What's up, guys?
How we going, guys? How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Just waking up, and sleep schedule's been crazy. Surprise. Having a house by yourself is a lot of work, didn't you know?
Oh my God. I when I built this house, I built a alfresco patio pergola thing, and I didn't know that I needed a permit.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like selling the house in like maybe a month or so, hopefully on the market. I just had the building permit guy around to like tick me off.
Mm.
But yeah, we're here. So guys, I can see like 4 people's faces. That ain't okay. If you have a little, I can see, I have the power. I don't know if you guys know this, but I have the power. So I can see who has a camera, it's just not on. So don't give me any cop out of my camera doesn't work, because it does. In bed, sorry. I wish I was there, Alison. Bedtime is good time. I mean, in my bed. Not your bed, but my bed. Well, let's kick it off, guys. I'm excited for tonight's call now. Just to recap, we have within Trade House Australia teamed up with B1G1, which is Business for Good. And what we are basically doing, every single time you guys have a breakthrough or a little light bulb moment, I want you to hashtag breakthrough, okay? Because the charity, I suppose, that we've linked up with is called Blue Dragon, and Blue Dragon has rescued nearly 1,000 girls, women and boys from sex trafficking, and almost all of them were basically deceived through the promise of like a good job, and they were taken to China, where they were then sold into forced marriages and forced sex work. So Blue Dragon basically has rescued these children and women, and now provides emergency shelter, psychological care and medical care. So every single time you guys have a breakthrough tonight, please use, actually, you know what, let's use the hashtag Blue Dragon, right? And that will represent a $10 donation, and this is from me, from Trade House Australia, and every $10 gets a month's worth of care for one of these individuals. So last week we had $340 that we donated to a women's night school in the Philippines. So this is something that, this is the whole fucking point of Trade House.
Do you happen to know if they do anything with the Catholic Church? Like, I mean, after the sexual things that happen, or no? If you don't know, it's okay. I was just wondering.
I don't know, but
it's okay. It's okay.
I know it's managed through, so these children and women are from India. So the project is by Children of India Foundation. So that's about all I know for that. But good question. Now you got me thinking, is it the right one?
The Catholic Church, yeah, that's a whole other thing.
Stay tuned for that then. If we need to swapsies the charity, then we will. But either way, it's going for a good cause, and that is part of the Trade House experience. It's, what is the point of making all this money if you're not going to do good with it? Okay, that's what we're here for. So welcome to tonight's call, guys. I am excited to be here. So it is recorded. I know you guys have been loving the last couple of calls, and they are also up on the YouTube channel and in Discord as well. So we've got a couple of topics tonight, not so much questions. Who can I assign that can be co-host? Beck Oliver, you're reliable. You're Ant, Decimate, Ant, not reliable. He's never getting that job ever again. Okay. Okay, Beck, your job starts now. There's people coming in. Mike, tell us about your week. How was it before we get off?
A lot of in against kind of my wishes, a lot of shopping for let's say toilet bowl cleaner. And like, I don't know if you guys have like those blue tablets that turn your toilet water blue because it goes in the back or whatever, and keeps it clean. Poster, um, storage stuff because I don't have anything for clothes, but I hurt the hell out of myself. I guess what was it, 2 or 3 days ago. Yeah, again, having a house for yourself is definitely amazing, but furnishing a house is a whole other thing for sure. And so me having to essentially go to essentially I need to do a lot of stuff. Like, I mean, there's literally nothing in the office right now. Like I don't even know why I just like pan the camera over there, but I have no storage really right now. And I've got to do that. And laundry, I was washing like all of my clothes. These just sound like kind of redundant, but when you're talking about like washing every article of clothing and having to pretty much go to the store every day and, buying things, like not just randomless spending, but again, furnishing this house has definitely been a task for sure. I'm so thankful that I have a truck. If you guys don't have a truck, you really don't know how important they are until you have them. And your ability to, move things around and, buy things and, not have to spend the money to get rental trucks and things like that. Like my truck has absolutely saved and just, again, really, just like, I guess not valuable. I forget the word I'm trying to say right now, but just it's the benefit of having a truck is just unbelievable. Down in Texas, I don't know if you guys know or not, but like Texas, specifically in the United States, is the truck state. Whenever you drive around here in Texas, it is more common to see trucks than it is cars. But when you drive, like, again, in pretty much any other state, you do not see anywhere near as much trucks. But it's just funny because once you have one, it's like, I can never live without one again. I use it so much. It's just incredible. But anyways, the week has been good. Just been doing a lot of housework, and people are going to start flying in this week for the convention. We have Canadians trying to escape Canada because Canada is worse than Australia in terms of just the mandates and things like that. They can't buy diapers anymore. Like they can't even go into general stores anymore without like a vaccine card and stuff. So pretty much a ton of Canadians are trying to leave Canada. So they're Siva. You guys should all know Siva. Siva is moving to the United States, and he got a house today, I believe. So he's going to be down here Friday and stuff. But yeah, it's just been a lot of a lot of housework. There's still many things to be done. Sleep schedule's crazy right now, but we are all good. I've had a good week. How about you?
Yeah, I've been good. A lot of clarity this week, just around like vision. I sat on a cliff on Sunday drinking ciders, just
A cliff?
Cliff, like where I live, it's like very cliffy. And yeah, just like mapped out, the plan of attack. So hopefully I might be living in the States for a little bit towards the end of next year for allowed.
I saw that text you sent me. Is there like, I mean, I'm not going to derail all of this, but are you saying that because right now there isn't a problem for you guys to leave because you're not planning on going back for a little bit, right?
It's not that. It's just the whole point of trading was to travel. Like 6 years into it, I'm selling my house. It's like, why not? So it's like, go to Bali for a bit before my niece or nephew's born in May, and then my dad's 80th in November, and then I'm out. So whatever state America hasn't.
Yeah, what state?
Whatever state hasn't shit the bed, I'm going there.
There's only two. It's Florida and Texas. That's it.
I'll probably be bunking in with you, so let's see.
That's all right.
All right, guys, let's get this party started. Okay, so we've got a couple of topics tonight, not so much questions, but they are topics that are in demand, all about like FTMO and getting funded, routines, things like that. And there's a lot of new people on tonight's call. And so we're going to keep it pretty, strip it back, but also blow your damn mind like we usually do on Tuesday nights. So if it is one of your first Tuesday night calls every Tuesday, this link, you're welcome on here. So I guess, I want to kick it off with, especially for your new people. Okay. People think trading's hard. People think trading's easy. For me, it's like what you choose it to be. Okay. And the stories and the narrative that you tell around that. But what a lot of new people don't actually realize is, the technical knowledge is like, honestly, 1% of the full picture, right? And then you've got to master the whole mental game of trading. And then you have to master, all other 7 areas of your life. And what I've noticed in my 6 years of doing this now is, because in any area of your life that you don't empower, that will ultimately come a distraction to your trading. Okay. And I was having a conversation with my quantum business coaching group today, and why family and friends don't support you when you were trying to do something like this, whether that's a business or trading, and why it's really hard for them to understand, I suppose. And I think the most common thing is, when someone doesn't support you, just like, they don't believe in themselves, they don't believe that they can do it. That's just generic shit. Okay. But my background is psychology, and honestly, like, saying something like that, it doesn't help. That's surface level stuff. I think we need for us to fully do what we want to do and be really good at what it is we're trying to do. What we need to understand is that in any family dynamic, in any friend dynamic, there's like this huge, full spectrum of values and priorities. And this is something that I wish I kind of understood when I, got started with this, because you do cop a lot of shit, because this isn't the normal thing to do. Everyone is extremely opinionated, especially people who've never done it. and what I mean by like the spectrum of values and priorities is, that if one person in the family leans more towards having a higher priority in, like us, for example, in business and trading, investing, time freedom, financial freedom, chances are there's going to be someone else in your family or someone else that you're really close to who hasn't been exposed to what it is that you now know, right? And they're going to be counterbalancing that with their higher priority of maybe socializing or security from a job or, health or family or something like that. Basically the exact opposite area of what you ultimately prioritize and value. And the reason that we have that is because of this whole balance thing. It's like that, if you want to talk about the masculine and the feminine areas of life, there's a reason they exist. And that is for, the reason that the full spectrum of values and priorities exist is for maximizing growth in all areas of our life, right? So think about it, guys. If a family member only focused on business and finance and only bringing in the money into the family and being a provider, and there was no other priority on health or socializing or giving your kids social skills or anything like that, there would be an incredible disconnect in the family. And that's kind of what I experienced growing up. I never went without. Got very successful parents that are engineers, and they I grew up with my dad being a provider. He worked in the mines, he was always away, and my mum was the mum. And they, just did not understand each other because they had two completely different values and priorities. But for my mom and us kids to live the lifestyle we did, my dad had to do what he did. Okay, so if the family is only focused on family stuff, they want this little white picket fence life, so they're only focused on health and well-being and hugs and shit, then, there's no substantial income coming in because they're only focused on that. So if you're feeling like your friends and family aren't supporting you, it's more than likely they just have a different set of priorities to what's important to them. And they won't have, they won't have an awareness or an understanding of what's important to you unless you tell them, right? And that's where I then had a disconnect with my mom. I was all about the grind, all about, I'm doing this for you, mom, you're part of my why, when she valued companionship more. So she would always be like, why are you always working? You're never around. When is your father going to retire? He's never here. And then that's when you first start out in something, you're going to get objections like, why are you spending so much time in the business? Trading doesn't work. Why are you so obsessed with this? And they start saying things like, you should, right? And then that that should is an indication of a projection of their priorities and values. You know, you should be focusing on this, Mike. You should be focusing on that, Mike. And that's the type of language that you know, these people, the ones that we care about and love, use, right? And then you will turn around and say, well, no, you should be focusing on trading, because if you don't, then your future's fucked. Like, how many times do we have this conversation with people? Like all the time in my head, I'm just like, why do people not trade? Like, how do people not do what we do? Like, how do people, it's, you know, it's my mind is like, people are fucked if they don't do this. So you can't fight ego with ego. And that's where we have all of these really common clashes of family and friend dynamics, of projection and injection of values and priorities. But if you really stopped and, you know, sat there and really thought about what you value, what you prioritize, and what someone else that you care about, you know, maybe they have different values, different priorities, all are actually essential, right? And like I just said, when you are disempowered in one area of your life, you will attract people in your life that will throw all the shoulds at you. Trading is meant to be one aspect of your life, not all of it. Not all of it. So Mike and I, you know, Mike and I are two completely different traders. I'm a swing trader. He's on, you know, charts, trading gold super quickly. Oh, look at your dog in the background. Boop, boop. Just like cruising around. So yeah. Cute.
She's usually like right here under the chair. She's got a bone.
My friend and coach, Ryan, actually just bought a Frenchie, and he didn't know he was deaf. He doesn't respond to anything. It's pretty crazy. But anyway, so if you're brand new to this, or even if you know, are seasoned and you are constantly having, you know, disagreements with people, it's probably because, you know, you're challenging the priority of someone else who has a higher priority in something else, because that's when conflict happens. And they won't be supportive of what you do because you're not communicating what you want to prioritize because it's important to you. So I think what's really important here is that when it comes to, you know, you need to identify the priorities of those, identify your priorities to those who are and mean the most to you. So your partners, your parents, your kids, your siblings, your friends, right? Identify them by asking what their true priorities are and what they value the most, and then learn to communicate what your highest priorities are. Because the reason why people don't support you is because of you know, a number of things, you know, without going into their belief psyche and shit like that. Maybe you doing this doesn't support their priorities. Okay, because, and maybe they aren't emotionally intelligent to understand that. So then they have resistance to what it is that you're doing and trying to achieve, because in their perception, they can't quite see or understand how you doing this is going to benefit them. That's one of the main reasons why family has conflict, okay? Especially, guys, when you're going through the phases of learning, and the monetary return isn't quite there yet. Like, give me a 1 if you've experienced that. Been doing this thing for 6 months now. You know, surely this is relatable, okay? So we need to understand that every single human being is on a journey to fulfill what is most important to them. And if you can communicate what's important to you and why, and get them to fully comprehend what it is you're saying, because communication these days isn't enough. You can communicate to the cows come home, but if they aren't comprehending what it is you're saying, then there's no fucking point, right? But if they do, then they will likely to be more accepting, more supporting. And if they're not, then fuck them, okay? Fuck. So, Mike, what do you have to say on that?
Most people here are from Australia, right? I have a, you know, a question that like kind of prefaces before I actually answer. What is the 50s anything? Obviously we're not really, well, I guess not obvious, but in America, we're not really taught like the history of Australia. Was the 50s anything like in Australia? Was the 50s anything in Australia like it was in the States? It was the boomers. I don't know if that term like really, like, again, because I don't know what happened during the 50s or 60s or in fact any decade in Australia, to be honest. We're not taught any of that. But for me, and I don't know if that will resonate. Yeah, so you guys understand baby boomers. My parents are baby boomers. So I was the quote unquote pleasant surprise because my youngest sibling, I have 4 siblings. The youngest one is 15 years older than me. So they're all up here and I'm way down here because I, again, am the quote unquote unpleasant, or not unpleasant, the pleasant surprise. Meaning that they didn't, of course, really plan to have me or anything. My parents were both in their 40s and now are getting close to the 80s. But when it comes to the people around me, the one thing I will say in my life and just as a person in general, I have never cared about other people's opinions, period. Most reason why is because, again, at least speaking on family, there is such a difference between the beliefs that we have that I don't connect to anybody in my family in that way. Meaning, like, I would never go to my parents for a actual personal situation. I love my parents. I do go to them for things and stuff, but when it comes to like actual, let's say, relationships or life advice or money, there are things that I will go to them for, but when it comes to other things specifically, and a lot of those things, we live in different time periods. And that's really important to understand what I'm going to say about this, because my parents, after 6 years, guys, both of them do not know what I do. And I genuinely mean that. All they say to people is that I trade. They don't even know what that means. That's just what they say, and that I educate people. When I lived with them for I don't know, like 8 or 9 months a couple of years ago, and of course was going live on Go Live every single day, and they would consistently ask me, hey, what time do you go live? The same time that I have always gone live, Mom. Why are you asking the same question 300 times in a row? But it's because, again, just like what SJ was saying, we operate differently, and we always have. And that's just the premise before I actually even get to the answer, is so you guys understand the context with me. I was not the person that would run to other people and just verbally throw up whatever I'm going through on. I was the shoulder. I was not the person that had a person. I was the person. And I don't say that as an ego or anything. I'm saying that that's just my life personally, that I was the level-headed person. All of my other siblings look to me. There's obviously so much to explain in order for you guys to understand all of that. But for me, their opinions have never mattered. And the reason why is that it's not just, of course, like understanding how to make money or their approval of things. My parents, for example, believe 9/11 happened the way that Fox and CNN reported it. No matter what I have said to them and the evidence that I have, again, presented to them, 3 buildings fell that day. Do you guys know what happens when, again, I'm not even arguing the point about planes or missiles or the melting point of, steel with jet fuel, none of that. 3 buildings fell that day. How do you explain that? And you know what happens when they get pressed into that corner? Cognitive dissonance. That's what happens. They have to shut down, because when there is evidence to the contrary of what it is that people believe, the brain's natural defense mechanism is what is known as cognitive dissonance. So let me use one that I don't know, maybe or may not apply to everybody in here. If you do fall into a specific religion or a particular faith, like let's just say God, if you believe in God, what if it was proven to you beyond a shadow of a doubt it didn't exist? If you don't believe in a God, what if you were proven one does exist beyond a shadow of a doubt? Stand on the other side of your belief for a moment. What does that look like? Whatever it is, right? For someone who's my dad, for example. You guys don't obviously know my dad, but if you've been on these calls enough, sometimes I do bring him up because it's relevant. And in this case, it is just like this. But if my dad was to accept that, let's say the last 60 years of his life, he's believed a lie, and he 100% completely sees that, what do you think would happen to his mind? Picture you for a moment. If you believe something, we're not just with anything any one thing in particular, just anything, and you've believed it that long, what if you stood on the other side of that? You see what I'm saying? That's what the brain does. It has to cut that off. It's a defense mechanism because the other side is insanity. That's what, like, your brain, the metaphor I always use for that is anime. I don't know if you guys like watch any anime, but have y'all ever seen a frame that goes like that and it just slowly breaks apart? That's what I'm talking about. When your worldview shatters, and it's not easy, and you have to rebuild yourself, and you have to obviously relearn things, right? So when I think about my parents or my friends personally, or again, the confirmation of other people, again, guys, from the bottom of my heart, I have always watched the movies that people don't watch. I listen to the music that people don't listen to. I do not conform to like what the most popular thing is at that moment. In fact, the opposite. When everybody goes left, right, when everybody goes left, I go right. I have always been that way as a person. So it's not like, but the reason why I'm making that distinction is because there's a lot of people that do struggle with that. This social confirmation. There's nothing wrong with it, of course, but I always try to make it clear to people that not only do I not personally suffer with that problem, I am the opposite of that. I love when nobody agrees with me. I love when I do the thing that nobody else is doing. So when I'm thinking about it, and just again, another way of looking at it, guys, if people in your life understood what you're learning here, if they did understand, then why don't they have it? Right? If people understood what was going on here, wouldn't they be doing it? The fact that people do not understand what I'm doing, like my parents, for example, it is a confirmation that I'm not going to have their results. I don't want their results. And, in some aspects, yes, but financially or just even a relationship, because that's a whole story. And I guess just general happiness. They're not really happy. They're perfectly miserable. And I don't want those results. So again, it's a confirmation for me when people around me, especially my family, guys, when I go to family meetings, do you guys know what happens? The same stories, the same drama, the same complaining. When have you guys, I don't know if your family is anything like mine, but when there's like a family gathering, right? And somebody leaves, like, let's just say a cousin leaves. Do you guys know what immediately follows that? A story talking shit about that person that just left. That's what 100% consistently happens in my family, because they're focused on it. They're talking about things that happened 15 years ago. That's what they're tripping about. They're never in the actual moment. They are living in whatever memories, right? But the thing is, guys, is that it's not our fault. We come from a society that perpetuates that. It's catered towards that. So we were just like that at a certain point. But here you are, again, learning and doing things differently and learning new things that, again, we are not taught. How can you hold anybody else in your life responsible for the lessons they haven't learned? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it's unfair for you to assume that these people will understand what you're doing, thinking, trying to accomplish, when what exposure have they had? Even if you have personally gone to expose them on certain things, Just like my parents, for example, should I be mad at my parents because, again, cognitive dissonance happens? For a lot of time in my life, I was 100%, because I'm just like, how can you choose to live in ignorance? Ignorance is bliss to them. I don't believe ignorance is bliss for even a moment, but they do. And for me to, again, be a higher and better version of myself, I have to understand that. So holding people's opinions above your own is incredibly dangerous. It really, really is. If you hold anybody's opinions over what your opinions are, then you're a slave to their ideas. Mm-hmm. You're like, you will literally become a slave to another person, because if they like it or don't like it, is then going to dictate your behavior. Do you see how powerful that is? Like, do you guys really want to surrender that power in your own life? Whether it's a spouse or a parent or a friend or whatever, if they, I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. If you think that this is scamming, a lot of people don't understand network marketing, right? And what we do, or on the other side of the platform, not talking about trading. I'm talking about like what people have been taught are pyramid schemes. Why is that? Is because they don't understand. And it's also not to mitigate the fact that, yes, guys, there are pyramid schemes out there. But what I'm really trying to say is that I do not operate through this in the thought that this is a pyramid scheme, because, again, not just an opinion of mine, but things I can back up with evidence, and not even just, again, social stories. I'm talking about actual legitimate information. This is objectively not one of those to me. But the thing is that if people do think that, if you think that, then you're never going to get past that barrier, because you think you're scamming people low key. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it's a belief that you will confirm to yourself, and then think like you won't talk to people about it, because you think that you're getting over on people by getting them to sign up, for example. You see what I'm saying? That can't, I mean, if that's the ideology you have, then there either needs to be a conversation, or something needs to change, because it cannot be that you will operate in this entire space with that being the belief that you carry, and you will move that way. I don't consider this, obviously, that at all. I consider it a solution. So when I speak to people, I'm not speaking to people as in, hey, sign up because I need money. No, it's, do you have a problem in life? And if so, here's a possible solution. Do you see it or not? And that, of course, depends on how good we are explaining. But anyways, I'll hand it back over to you, SJ. Just last thing. Do not allow other people's beliefs to, again, dictate your decision making. And if you do, the only thing that then happens, guys, is you become a slave to them. That it doesn't matter, again, who it is. And do you want to give that power to somebody, or do you want to have that power for yourself? Go ahead, SJ.
Something you said there reminded me of the, can you guys see this? Yeah. So most people, like, if we think about the world right now, especially, like, where are we, guys? We are so, in terms of like frequencies and vibrations, guys, like, go and look into this. If you want to get on a one-on-one, happily do that. But for us as traders to level up, even as human beings to level up, most people are living in like the green and under. And this is like the state of the frequencies, right? So, a lot of people are even in guilt and shame, fear, right? Trading. What emotions are you exposed to in trading? You've got, fear, oh my God, mind blank, doubt, greed, very low vibrational states. If you guys want to make a shit ton of fucking money, you guys have got to be up here. All right. So this is something I'm putting in the money course that we're putting together. This is obviously pristine. This is where we want to be. But most people that are just walking around are down here. Okay, so when you see like judgment, talking about others, my last conversation I had with a bunch of girls from back home, I just quickly, when we went out to dinner, they just started talking about every fucking Tom, Dick, and Harry. Good old Ryan on here knows what Mackay people are like. Coffee Club, Wood Street. And I just chucked my money on the table and I was just like, fuck, if this is what we're talking about, like, I'm out of here. Like, here's my money. And I left and I have not talked to them since. But that consciousness scale is pretty important to learn about, especially if you want to level up, okay, and attract what it is to make big amounts of money as well. So yeah, moving on from that, I guess it's for me, in terms of like a practical sense of that, it's like, like we said in the chat, unless you want the results of the people that are throwing all these opinions and judgments at you, then keep listening to them. If you don't want that, then if they're going right, we're going left, guys. Okay, the whole trade house is literally built around having these hard conversations that matter, conversations that aren't even being had. Okay.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
Just right there. I'm one of the founders of the Trade House, guys. And for those that might not know, this idea specifically from me, the entire cultivation of it is, everybody likes to call it the nomenclature rabbit hole. The entire point is to get it out of the rabbit hole, to make it a mainstream conversation. Like, I don't want it to even be considered, oh, we have to hide or any of that, or so to speak. So many people seem to be scared of asking the hard questions. And that's actually a little secret of mine when I'm speaking to people. Guys, and this comes back a little bit, and I'm sorry, SJ, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sure you had you were doing your thing, but I really wanted to make this distinction clear, because this is what a little bit of the vision for me. Well, let me explain the secret first, but again, it's to add on to what, again, this entire brand is about. But the secret, that not really a secret, it's just, I don't really want to use that word. It's like a method. And what that method is again, directly bringing up to the surface a core belief. And the one that I'll use right now is religion. Regardless of whatever people believe, something like that is a deep-seated belief, right? Meaning that something like that, regardless if it resonates with you, if not, then maybe your political viewpoints or your theology, or what happens with life after death, or do you believe in karma? Really, really deep-seated, important things that a lot of people are uncomfortable talking about, because so many people, again, think not so many people, or maybe there is so many people, I have no idea, of course, but I'm very, very careful with the words that I choose when I talk about something like religion. And do you guys know why? Because when that happens, and me and SJ have talked about this a little bit, Australia seems to be different in that sense of how it is out here. That's a touchy subject, because what happens is people put their defenses up and put their walls up because they want to defend what it is that they believe. When in fact, the entire point, trigger, that's the perfect word. That is definitely the perfect word. It's a trigger. But the point of me activating a trigger is not to, again, sit here and debate and try to prove one right or wrong. Civil discourse happens when we're trying to understand one another. Why do you believe what you believe? Not that you're an idiot for believing whatever it is that you believe. And here I am presenting information that you should believe, because here I am as a fallacy of authority. It's not about that. It's about, again, challenging information for what is known as intellectual scrutiny. Does it hold up to scrutiny or not? Do we believe broken beliefs? And if so, how much of that has had an impact on our lives? People believe, let me give you an example. People believe money is the root of all evil and money doesn't grow on trees. Those are lies that we are taught. All of us all of us are taught that there isn't enough money, or am I wrong? Were you guys also taught that? And if so, then tell me, or if not, tell me, either way, I am definitely making the assertion that the way I was raised, and a lot of people that I personally know, the way they were raised, there isn't enough. There's never enough. Money doesn't grow on trees. We can't just go out and go do this or go do that or go buy this, go buy that, because we need to hold on to the money that we have, is really, again, what the psychology of that lie does. And so what do you guys think that the scarcity of not believing that you don't have enough money? Can you think for a moment how much that affects every decision you make on just any, on the littlest things in life or the biggest things in life? Just from the lie, it is demonstrably wrong. That is a 100% lie. But again, it affects so much decision-making in so many aspects of our lives. So many people won't, or so many people do or don't do things based off of, again, how much money do I have? Do I have enough? Is there enough coming in? Blah, 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 right? So much decision-making is then dictated off of that. My entire point is that, just like what SJ was saying, when it comes to the trade house specifically, guys, that is, with the founders of the trade house, and just again, this entire brand, I'm one of them, but it's because it did not start with the trade house for me. The trade house is one of the results of years of doing this at this point, of challenging information, of no longer accepting things as truth simply because that's what I've been taught my entire life and everybody around me agrees with it. Therefore, it must be true. That's what I stopped doing. Then I started challenging what it is that I believed. And that, you guys know what happens. You challenge things as so deep and so far. Is the earth flat or is it round? The little globe that was in your third grade classroom, right? Now, we're not obviously going to get into that conversation. I'm just saying the challenge of the question, the challenge of what's right and what's wrong. Literally everything. It just never really ends. And that's the entire point of learning entrepreneurism and learning how to be free, is that you have to change who you are. Because if you didn't have to change who you are, then why don't you already have whatever it is that you want? If you don't, then the only conversation then comes to, what do I believe that is holding me back? Because the beliefs that you live by, not the cliched word of belief. I hate the social, or like the personal development, self-help, raw community. I really detest it. But when I say the word belief, I'm talking about the things that, again, affect your decisions on a day-by-day basis. If you believe something to be impossible, guys, you're never going to achieve it, ever, because you have concluded it is an impossibility. Therefore, it will never be accomplished. You could, of course, choose to make it possible and then, of course, achieve it. But that's my entire point. The decisions that we live by, again, dictate every single thing in your reality. You're not a creature of your circumstances. You are the creator of them. Do not give power to anything else in life and say, oh, that's the reason why XYZ thing is happening to me. You want to know why? Because if that's what you conclude, you lose all your power. You therefore cannot change anything because it's happening to you. That's the way we will perceive it. Therefore, now you're a victim. If change is actually going to happen, you have to assume responsibility, because the most important part is that gives you the power to shift, to change, because now it's in your court. And that's just, again, one of the more important parts of the trade house. I'm sorry, SJ.
Never. I think we should add in, every time Mike says sorry, we'll add that as a hashtag. I'll be fucking broke, guys. No call next week.
To me, it's just so binary. It's so black or white. That's how I boil it. I don't know if you guys picked that up from me. It is so yes or no. and the removal of all of this fugazi and just, but Mike, but like when you remove all of that, it then becomes just a binary, yes or no. And that's, to me, you are no longer then, oh, I didn't know. You do know. Then it becomes a choice you're making. So ignorance is no longer the excuse, and it's complacency. And the reason why is not to expose people for that. It's to, again, subconsciously, show people, wait, I'm choosing this. I therefore have the ability to choose a different result, unlocking it. Sorry.
It's literally that thing. I saw it so many times today that maybe it's Atomic Habits. I don't know, but it's like people, I screenshotted Daniela's thing today. It said people do not decide their futures, they decide their habits, and their habits decide their futures. Literally that, which actually rolls on to the next topic. And I am conscious of time. We've got 3 things to get through, and we'll get through it. Stay with us, guys. I know there is 112 of you on here. I
will tone down. I promise. I'm sorry.
Stay the line. Oh, there's another hashtag. So the next thing was, week in and week out, we always get asked, how do I gain more discipline? How do I become more motivated? How do I stop being lazy? How do I manage my time better? Okay. And if someone asked me this personally, then I would say something along the lines of, I would say, like, do you have a partner? Do you have a fucking pet? Do you have a dog? Do you have a cat? Do you have a fish? If you're like Jess, you've got a lizard. Like, do you have parents that you like? Do you have kids? Right? Like, I would ask them something along those lines. And, basically asking, do you have something or someone in your life that you enjoy spending time with? Okay. And usually they're going to say, yes, I've got a partner. Let's say they're under attack, right? And you've got to save them. Would you lack discipline to save them? Would you lack motivation? Would you procrastinate or be lazy in that moment to save them? Like, say your girlfriend got fucking hit by Mike's truck. Not a very good scenario.
Not really.
Like, would you just dawdle over there because you were a lazy person and just be like, press a little buzzer on the side of the road and wait for the green man to go fucking help her? Like, no, right? Like, you wouldn't just dawdle over there. You wouldn't not be motivated to go and help them. You wouldn't, you wouldn't just not rush over there. You would go and you would act. Yes or yes. Okay. The reason you do that, the reason why you would go and help the person is because they're important to you. And you would do anything for their safety, right? And I think we can all say that's true. Now, I know that's a very extreme analogy, but I think this perfectly explains the idea of procrastination and lack of discipline and lack of motivation or laziness or poor time management, okay? Because we don't lack motivation. We don't lack discipline, guys. We don't procrastinate to things that are truly fucking important to us, do we? We don't procrastinate on those things, okay? So I think people often confuse what their true priorities are to them, right? And they are expecting to do things that are low priority, and then they become lazy and then they procrastinate, they lose motivation, and then you beat yourself up, and then you're in my inbox asking me how to get motivated, okay? Remember, our brain, guys, we've talked about this multiple times. Our brain is a high priority seeking organ, right? This is why sometimes most people give up what they want most for what we want right now. Okay, think about that. Your brain wants to fulfill the thing that's most true and most meaningful right now in this moment. Okay, that's what it wants to do. So if you're struggling with, or you perceive yourself as struggling with motivation or discipline or doing the things that you need to do to get you to where you ultimately desire to be, I'm going to state that it's probably because the thing that you're lacking motivation, the thing that you're lacking, that being motivation, that being discipline, that being time, whatever it is in your perception, you don't see it as being as important as what you think it is, right? and you don't necessarily see how it's going to help you fulfill what is truly important to you. Or maybe you're not even aware of what's actually important to you in your life. Because if you find yourself lacking motivation to get on the charts, lacking the discipline to journal, maybe this isn't that important to you. Okay, so to help you overcome that, in your perception, what you would have to do is you would have to raise the value in your mind, in your brain, of the particular task that you're doing. Okay, because by raising the value of what it is you need to do, you're then raising the priority of that particular task that you have to do. So as traders, right, you want to raise the importance of journaling. And I asked you guys in Discord to share some of the benefits of what journaling was for this reason. Okay, if it's back testing, raise the importance of back testing. Raising the importance of go lives, right? Of applying the knowledge to the charts, not just binge watching, all the go lives and bounce back, and you're not actually on the charts, marking up the charts, right? Raise the importance, raise the value of personal development. Okay, whatever the action step is that you perceive that you're lazy with, go in and then ask yourself, how is doing this particular action serving and benefiting what is truly important to me? How is it benefiting me? How is me journaling and back testing benefiting me as a trader? How is it serving my health? How is it serving my mental health? How is it serving my emotional states? How is it serving my relationships? Because as we say, week in, week out, how you do one thing is how you do everything. If you're not journaling properly, right? If you're not doing the small things in trading that is absolutely paramount, absolutely necessary for your success, chances are you are taking other shortcuts in other areas of your life too, right? And you'll realize that those areas of your life, you aren't where you want to be there either. So the more value that you can give something, the higher priority it'll be. So the more likely you are to actually do it, because you have an understanding of how doing it is going to benefit you. Okay, so just remember that human beings do things based off highest priorities, and that our brain is the most highest priority seeking organ. So if you don't see journaling after a day of trading as a high priority task, then you're not going to do it. And then when you do it, you're going to half-ass do it, and you're only doing it because SJ is going to kick your fucking ass. Not the right reasons to journal. So raise the value. If you find yourself procrastinating, feeling lazy, not motivated, whatever it is, right? Raise the value of the work you're doing, and you won't have an issue with motivation or procrastination, ever. Mike, what do you got to say on that?
The other way I would put it, of highest priority, is addiction. We're all addicted. And anybody that wouldn't say they're not is cap, because we're addicted to comfort. We're addicted to things that are easy. We're addicted to alcohol. We can be addicted to tobacco. We can be addicted to anything. And whenever you're addicted to, again, whatever it is, you're going to get it one way or the other. That's just how we are. And that's what really the law of attraction is. And another reason why I detest the self-help community so much is because this entire concept of the law of attraction has become a cliche. They're just like, think positively and then you'll have everything you want. That's absolutely not what the law of attraction is. Guys, if you want, if you want to drink like an alcohol, if you want to get drunk, what happens? If it's that high of a priority to you, what happens? You get drunk, right? If you want food, you're going to eat, right? If you want a shower, you're going to have a hot shower. That's how we are. All of us, every single one of us, we are habit-based creatures, 100%. And when she says the highest priority, it's what you're addicted to. When you change the addictions, because you don't conquer addiction. None of us, in my opinion, guys, I don't think human beings conquer addiction. You transfer addictions. You move them from one to the other. We're addicted. Like if you're a smoker and you wanted to stop smoking, you'd start chewing gum to replace the habit, right? That's one of the things that like AA, Alcoholics Anonymous does, is they talk about the transfer of addiction. And in my opinion, when you guys feel unmotivated or lazy, it's because of the guilt. It's guilt that gets associated with, well, I should be doing this, but I'm addicted to instant gratification. So instead of doing what I need to do, I'm going to watch Netflix. Why? Because it is a comfort. It's easy. It's easy to be under a blanket and just watching TV. It's the easiest thing in the world, right? That's an addiction to comfort or to not, again, applying pressure to your life in whatever way. It's easier to do that. That is an addiction, 100%. And in my opinion, nobody can answer for any other human being on this call. How do I get motivated? Honestly, how can I even answer that question for you? Who am I to you? You know what I'm saying? Like,
times do you get asked that
oh my God. And I can't even begin to describe, but this is my answer to it is, who am I to in your life? Like, you are in complete control over everything in your life. Who am I to tell you, oh, this is what you need to do to get motivated? No one can answer that question for you. No one. And if that is what anybody is ever searching for, I will say that it's not wrong to be searching for that answer and to be asking SJ or ask me, or, because it's a perfectly reasonable question. But the answer, in my opinion, is definitely, again, what's going on. You know what you want, but you know what you're doing. And they're not adding up because, again, we are addicted to instant gratification. Why would I worry about feeling better in 5 years when I could just get drunk right now? And maybe not alcohol, like I could just not do anything and watch TV, right? Like whatever it is so much easier to do that naturally. And most human beings move towards that. If that even needs to be said, it's the path of least resistance in life. And the thing is, guys, is that if you were, again, trying to genuinely change, it's not just, it is absolutely about raising the priority of trading. And one of the easiest, or any kind of entrepreneurism in general, but obviously with trading specifically, how do you raise the value? Understand the reward that comes with it. It's not instant. It does take time. But do you genuinely understand what happens once you have a system down in trading? And regardless if that takes a year, 2 years, maybe even 5 years, do you, again, 100% in your own personal life understand why you're doing this? What is the purpose of raising the priority level of trading? Because if you feel like you're being forced to do that, then of course it's never going to work, guys. You're just wasting your time. You feel like you're being forced, just like at a job or anything else. So you're being forced to do it. So you're never going to get passionate about it. You're never going to want to do it. So obviously, if that's the issue, that's an easy solution, is that maybe potentially you don't understand why you're doing what you're doing. And if not, this is the easiest way I always say it when it comes to trading, guys. The same thing that is done here in these markets to make $5 is the exact same thing that can be done to make 50 or 500 or 5,000 or 50,000 or any other increment, number beyond that, because the only thing that changes is the lot size in the decimal. So essentially, what you do to make $5 is what you do to make $5,000. If you do not see the value in that, I don't know how to literally, boil it down any more than that, in the sense that, yeah, guys, it's not fun or, super hype or raw or anything to just make $5 over and over and over and over. Of course, there's no kind of instant gratification around that idea. You couldn't even like go to a McDonald's and buy a meal with that. But the entire point is, again, what you're doing there, making $5 down the line could be a much bigger sum of money. Do you find value in that? Yes or no? That's just the way I see it. And that's how I personally raise the priority, because I see that. And that's not an income claim. That's not conjecture. You guys understand lot sizes, right? 50 pips on a 0.01 is how much? On a 0.1 is how much? On a 1.00 is how much? On a 10 point, 100 point, 1,000, 1,000 lots. Nothing has changed other than the decimal point moving. That's it. Do you see how simple that is? That's what I'm working for. What I do to make this is what I do to make much bigger later. That's how I have raised the priority of trading to me. I see what it can do. Not talking about, oh, well, I have $1,000. How much can I make tonight? I mean, you could turn $1,000 into a million different numbers, worse or better. That there's no way to answer that question. And yeah, that's the perfect quote. Decimate, what's good, bro, by the way? Yeah, I do not fear the man who practices 10,000 different things one time. I fear the man that practices one thing 10,000 times. Bruce Lee. And that's the exact quote I live by when it comes to trading. Master the same thing, and you tell me what would stop you. And that's the best thing about that entire conversation. You tell me then what's the obstacle besides you choosing instant gratification. There is nothing. There's no difference in a $5,000 trade, a $5 million trade, or a $5 trade other than the decimal point moving. That's it. And so when you boil it, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Where else can you get that?
Yeah. That's where else can you go to make $5 where you make $50,000 for the same thing? Nothing has changed other than the lot size. That's it. That is literally the only thing that changes. But the problem with that is that there is no instant gratification with that, which is what we're all used to. Do you guys know why do you guys get high? Do you know why you get high? It's because it's instant gratification. Getting high right now serves no purpose next week. The entire point is, again, now we're focused on now. Trading is not now. It's think about a year from now. Think about 5 years from now. Is it worth it to you to, again, understand what you're doing now should not be about profit, guys. It should be about learning the skill set and the discipline to repeat the same action over and 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 over. That's it. Because we don't know how to do that. Yeah. Nobody knows how to do that. Imagine mastering that. What would happen? You could learn to play an instrument. You could learn to speak a second language. You could learn to make money on Forex. You could change everything in your life just by off of that one discipline. That's it. Doing the same thing, repetition over and over and over. In trading, there is no cap. You guys all understand that, right? You could be on 10,000 lots. How much is 10,000 lots per pip, guys? What is stopping you from being on a 10,000 lot trade? It's not your account balance. It's the mindset and the beliefs and the things you live by that are not there. Because if I handed you a $10 million account and you were trading on 10,000 lots, but you did not earn that 10 million yourself, how long do you think you would honestly keep that 10 million? You would be tripping over a risk management 10,000 lot trade because of the numbers, right? Have you guys ever traded on lot sizes that you should not be on and you're tripping because of the numbers? There's a question that I know SJ is going to bring up. How do you transition from demo to live? The question itself answers the problem. You're treating demo as demo and live as live. That's the entire problem. There is literally nothing other to add other than the fact that you are valuing, oh, one's monopoly money, so it doesn't matter. Oh, one's my money, so now it does matter. That right there is the problem. There is no difference with demo or live, unless of course you choose to make it that way. But you could just as much choose to, there is no difference with a demo or live account. That's how you use a demo account and actually apply the information you learn there to a live account. The very fact that you are making a distinction between fake money and real money is the problem. That's the entire issue, because you will literally operate differently when you feel like you have nothing, right? Or nothing to lose, right? Because it's demo, right? There's, no big deal, whatever, it doesn't matter. And then you go to live, oh my God, oh my God, and you see what I'm saying? That doesn't work. There is no difference with a demo or a live account, or there is. Either way, you're right. Go ahead, SJ.
That like, while we're on the topic of demo and live, that is a question that is asked very often, and a lot of it with HFX as well, that they're really good with demo trading, and as soon as they go live, anyway, it's not about the strategy. Okay. In terms of like the whole, how do I want to word it? When another thing you get asked all the time is like, I want to be a consistently profitable trader. Okay. We need to keep in mind that we have absolutely no control over what the market will give to us, right? We have no control over what we can extract from the market, because market's going to do what the fuck the market wants to do. Yes or yes, guys. Okay. So if we say we are if we say we are a consistent trader, right? Say you're making 10K a month, for example. What we've done there with that framing, that language right there, is we've taken all the responsibility away from ourselves on becoming a consistent trader and put that in the hands of the market. Okay, because that to me is really fucking silly, because we have no control over that. Sorry if you're new and don't like swear words. Wrong call if you're on that. Because we have no control over that. Okay, so what I want to try and hammer into you right now is that you are a consistent trader when you consistently execute on the processes you have control over, right? You have control over the things you can control. When you wake up, when and what you eat, if you work out, your routines, if you journal, right? You have control over following your trading plan and executing your trading plan. So make these the processes in which you then judge yourself on as if you are a consistent trader or not. Okay, because you have control over the time that you're putting in. And now isn't the time to say, but SJ, my dog is doing this, or it's my job, or my kids. Where there's a will, there's a way. That's not what this is about. You have control over your processes, right? Not what the market is going to give you. So when you recognize that you're consistent towards your processes, the money and achieving your goals will come as the outcome, as the byproduct of you being consistent within your routines and your systems. So making money as a trader, obviously that's a fucking goal. Like, what are we doing here? But it is also the byproduct of you having really great consistent processes that you execute over and over and over again. Because ultimately, if you can consistently execute according to your processes, the long run, you're going to extract the money, right? You're going to get the results that you want from the market. So understand that you affirming, reading your little trading plan with your affirmation saying, I'm a consistent trader, I am, has absolutely nothing to do with you actually being a consistent trader, because every single trader can become consistent and profitable right now, right? If and only if they are consistent with the processes they have control over, right? And stop saying, you know, consistency is me making $10,000 a month. No, okay? That is the result of you being consistent in your processes. So money comes as the result. You don't, where did I read this? You don't.
Yeah, forget 10,000 a month, by the way. What about 10K a trade?
Yeah, man. Fuck. I can't wait till you guys like, like you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fail to the level of your systems, guys. Okay. Winners and losers, we have the same goal. Do you think a loser gets on the chart and wants to lose? Probably not. Okay. But the ones who are progressing are the ones who have systems that are consistently followed, right? So when it comes to, you know, the whole live and demo thing, you know, fear and doubt and greed are the three things that will stop you from consistently executing your plan, right? You trade most effectively when you are at an equilibrium within the market. You're not above the market, you're not below the market. When we are fearful in the market and the market presents an opportunity for us to then, you know, enter and then be in a trade, and you don't have the confidence to pull the trigger and act on your systems, that's where you are below the market, right? And when we perceive ourselves as being above the market, we become greedy and we are projecting our ideas onto the market. And guys, we all know that the market is never wrong. Okay, so we get humbled pretty fucking quick. And if you haven't, you will. Promise, no one escapes that. So it's both fear, greed, and doubt that is stopping you from getting consistent profits and doing really well in trading. Okay, it's also fear and greed and doubt that's going to stop you from executing your trading plan accordingly, like every single time. And this is where I feel the gap between demo and live is. And that's one of the questions that we get is, when I'm on demo, I do really well. As soon as I go live, I start losing. This tells a story, right? And without, you can look at your own relationship with money, because on demo, you're not attached to it. You honestly don't give a fuck about it, right? But when you're trading live, what is there for you that is present around scarcity? Because it sounds like there's an experience that you've had in the past around losing money and needing money. So there's then the attachment to money, the attachment to needing to win, because you need to make money in trading, right? And it's got nothing to do with the percentages, but you will lose because your trading has a mental bias, right? So I guess that, a practical process for overcoming that is have a clear trading plan that you can execute that is so clear, right? And then the second thing would be, mindset balancing exercises that can, transcend the judgment of winning, loss, fear, and greed. Like, what are you doing for that type of work? So I think, unless Mike, you've got something else to add on to that.
I'll be really quick, but yeah. The only thing that you guys ever have control of, like I said in the chat, at any given point is your stop loss, take profit, and lot size. That's it. You don't have control over shit else. If you are not in control of those things, you simply are asking for failure, because there are only three things you have control over. When it gets down to the brass tacks, you control how much you get in, where you get out in profit or in loss. That's it. If you fail to, address those things, then all your results are going to be as catastrophic. So, if anybody, again, as we wrap up, this call, because I'm not going to do what I normally do. You should not feel as if anybody needs to motivate you. If that's genuinely where you are, first of all, I understand, but you're going to come to a fork in the road at some point or the other. You're either going to realize what's going on and what we have here, or you don't, and you fall back into potentially the things that we have come from, and the complacency, falling back to what we know, what we're aware of, and the lifestyle around that. And that decision is obviously not what I would want for anybody, but it's not like, of course, I wouldn't understand how easy it would be for me to just go back to work at that taco shop. It was the easiest job in the world for me. You know, people told me where to be, what days off, what I had to do. It was so easy. Genuinely, like no shade at all. Like more money does not mean an easier life. In fact, it's the opposite. More money means more complications. It just does. Like no lie. Because you have more investments, more things to worry about, this and this and that. It is so easy when you're just getting a paycheck and you pay your bills and you get a tax return and you fill it out or whatever. You get a little bit of money and you repeat. Having money and again, doing what you're supposed to be doing is so, honestly, it's way harder, like no lie. And it's what everybody that comes from the workforce that steps into entrepreneurism as just a concept of doing things for yourself has to learn one way or the other, because you're not going to have a boss. SJ is not a boss. No one's a boss in the sense of like, you know, people should be holding yourself accountable, because the ultimate outcome of that is that you're gonna end up quitting, because you're gonna look, you know, this is the way I always say it. You either learn how to manage yourself, or the universe is gonna put somebody in your life to do it for you. And we call those bosses. One way or the other, you're gonna be managed. It's just how, you know, one way or the other. You know, whether it's a prison guard, whether it's you, whether it's a boss, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a police officer, one way or the other, we are trained to search for authority. What do I do? Tell me. I don't want to think. Tell me. What do I do? But here we are asking for the exact opposite. You must, you know, of course, know what to do in situations. That's what you're asking for, right? Isn't everybody here asking for their own independence through trading or time freedom, financial freedom? Well, freedom does absolutely 100 billion% come with a price. Freedom is not free at all. And the responsibility that comes along with that is immense. There's no lie in that. It's a lot of responsibility, guys. And the metaphor, you know, as I wrap this up, this will be the last last thing I say. But if I granted you guys your dream car right now, are you the version of yourself that is ready for the responsibility? If your dream car was a Lamborghini Aventador, a $500,000, $500,000 European sports car, do you guys know what would happen to a V12 engine if you fail to change the oil in it one time? It's going to become the world's biggest paperweight. You will literally destroy the engine simply by not having the discipline to change the oil. Because if you're approaching a $500,000 car like that with the Toyota mindset, because Toyotas will just go. You could be 20,000 miles behind, or y'all don't use miles, whatever it is, I forgot. You could be a ton behind. How many of your guys' cars needs their oil changed right now? Do you, again, whether you do or not, you know, just again, if I granted you exactly what you wanted right now, would it be there in 3 months? You fail to change the oil in a Lamborghini one time, that entire engine will fall apart. One time. Because the people that do own Lamborghini Aventadors don't forget to change their oil like that. They have the responsibility and the discipline to have something like that. A $500,000 car versus a $15,000 car. $15,000 cars are designed for people that will have this same oil in the car for 5 years straight. So again, I hope you guys understand that it's not a question of can this work, guys? Can I do it? It's are you? Period. It's not, there isn't this vague random question of, you know, does these things work? Eventually you will run out of excuses and be forced to look at yourself. You will look at be completely naked, not just, of course, physically, but I'm saying like You will run out of everything to hide behind. And inevitably, you will be forced to face yourself if you commit to this or not. And you just go back to a job and say, well, the reason why I got a speeding ticket today was because of the cop, not because I woke up late, because the alarm clock I snoozed it 15 times, wore the same clothes I wore yesterday, and just sped off to work and got a speeding ticket. Oh, it was the cop's fault. No, it's not. But the irony is people will blame a cop for getting a speeding ticket. Was the cop's foot on the gas pedal? Was the cop the person that made you get a speeding ticket? No. The assumption of responsibility is the most important thing. But anyways, that's all I really got for you guys to ponder on.
That's amazing.
The assumption of responsibility.
I like that. We're gonna finish on this one last topic of I know a lot of you are interested in FTMO. Okay. Guys, if you're having your little blue dragon moments, pop it in there. We're at like 40, so we're getting there. We had 34 last week, so I wanted to beat that. But my top tips for getting funded it's just really 3 simple tips. Okay. And that is, okay, let's talk timeframes for a second. All right. I was already a 6-figure trader before I went FTMO. I did it because all the cool kids are doing it and I thought it was needed to do it. Jenna, for example, she was 2.5 years into her trading journey before she went FTMO. And a common theme I'm seeing is people are rushing in to get FTMO funded. And kudos for the drive. I know a lot, like it's been done. The Trade House has produced over, I think, 500 FTMO funders now, like fucking mental. But my biggest tip for you is to, number one, have a clear trading plan. Okay, my eyes, Kate, so I've been here all day. That is tried, true, and tested 100 times over, right? It is your process of really clear entry points, exit points, risk points, refine it, right? What are you looking for in a setup? What is the entry criteria? If you are someone who takes entries from ICs, which I hope you are, then go get my IC candle checklist. Okay, if you don't have it because you're not in Trade House Oz, message me, I'll send it to you. What is your entry criteria if you want to use that? Break it down to the smallest of details, and you need to know that system off the back of your hand, because what having a rock solid trading plan is, and what that does for you, and that process and what that system allows you to do, is it allows you to measure your trading edge, right? It allows you to measure yourself relative to your edge so that you know that you are performing where you should be, right? And if you don't have that, then you're going to be more susceptible to greed, to fear, to doubt, right? And all of the emotions that throw traders off. So tip number 1, create a rock solid trading plan, okay? As you were first starting out, your trading, FTMO is a prop firm that you can get funding from. There's actually heaps of other firms that you can get funding from, and I highly recommend it because it's anyway, we can, if you want to talk about FTMO, we can talk about FTMO for sure in terms of like processes of but your trading plan is a living document, so your first couple of months it's going to change a lot, okay? But you need to create that trading plan, you need to write it down, print it out, have it on your your board in front of you. That's the thing that you need to refer to and follow. It's tried, true, tested, you got a lot of confidence in it, okay? My second tip is to expand your vision about funding, okay? Because funding can't be the goal. Because if you think about it, if your goal is simply to get funded, then you will get funded, but then what? And the thing that I've seen with traders who are successful, who do get funded, is they have a vision beyond that funding, right? So my point is, you're never, guys, write this down, okay? Because I'm probably not going to be able to say it again because I'll forget it. You're never going to outperform your own vision, right? You're never going to outperform your own vision. So you need to expand your vision about what you would like to be doing as a trader, right? And see the funding that you can get as a stepping stone to you achieving your ultimate goal as a trader, right? So if you plan, you know, if you plan your goal to get funded and nothing beyond that, it's going to be very anticlimactic. You're going to be like, what now? Okay, so expand your goals, expand your vision about your goals, your life, your trading. And I would encourage you to have some type of, you know, I can't say this word very well. Philanthropic. Is that how you say it? I don't know. Philanthropic. Whatever. Or social cause towards your training. You know, this is why I got started and linked up with B1G1. So within Trade House Australia, you know, like this month alone, I'm already up to like $2,000 of donations, right? So expanding your vision past funding, right? Because you're never going to outperform your own vision. So have a goal that's bigger than just the funding, right? So you've got a bigger cause, you know, something bigger than that backing you, because that for me made trading an easier objective to the end goal, I guess. And there's no point writing it, Ant, because I need to say the word and I can't say the word. So it's one of those words. Back in the day, remember, Mike, when I couldn't say conscious? Oh, did I say that right?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. And my third step is take funding off a pedestal. You know, like I said, I became a funded trader after I had already grown my own account to 6 figures. And I did it because everyone else was doing it. And that's not a good reason to do it, but I did it anyway. Because the reason I say take it off the pedestal is because this goes for anything. And if you believe something different, that's totally fine. Any goal that you're excited about or elated about, you're not ready for. Okay. And what I mean by that is, don't get me wrong, I mean, be excited about your goals. Yes. But the reason I say that is if you're excited or elated about something, you're only aware of the advantages you'll get from it. Okay. But you're probably very unaware of the drawbacks or risks associated with that. It's like Mike and the Lambo. You know, you may be really excited to be, you know, have a Lambo, but are you ready for what the maintenance is of a Lambo? Because if you're not, then you're going to lose it. You know what I mean? So, and because when you do that, you're then projecting a fantasy onto the funding, right? And you're putting it up on this pedestal. It's like, when I'm funded, I'll be successful, right? That type of thing. And what that does is it makes you lack confidence relative to that. You know, see the funding for what it is, not for your fantasies or your self-worth projected onto it. Is probably, yeah, funding is a tool, correct. So Mike, what is your hot tip for guys wanting to go FTMO funded or any other firm funded?
To me, this is like because trust me, guys, I have, you know, had this conversation many, many times. What is, again, and SJ literally just answered it just in a few different words than I would use. What does it literally accomplish you? Are you thinking that the only reason why you're not successful right now is because of your account balance? Didn't we already disprove that 30 minutes ago? You know, that like literally your account balance is irrelevant. Even though it's not irrelevant in the sense that obviously, guys, you don't want to be making $5 per trade. You know, of course, if that even needs to be said, you would much rather be going for a higher sum of money. And yes, that is what being funded can, of course, do. But again, even if I grant you $1 million account right now, just assume you're funded. What does that change? How are the results going to literally be any different at all? If you're not doing it on $100 account, you're damn sure not going to do it on a $1 million account, because you will literally just be intimidated by zeros. And yeah, you see what I'm saying? So the entire logic of I need to be funded, to me, is the entire problem. Because your account balance, yes, again, I do understand it is important. But do not think for a second that just because you have a funded account, therefore means everything is going to change, because it's not. And the metaphor I always use is the keyboard and the grand piano. If you don't know how to play the piano and I put you on $100 keyboard and you sound awful, do you think you're all of a sudden going to somehow sound better on a $50,000 grand piano? No, you don't know how to play piano. So whether you're on one of the most expensive instruments ever made or a $100 keyboard doesn't make a difference at all, because the tool doesn't matter. It's the person using the tool. The entire point of learning how to do this with smaller accounts is the learning curve of learning the discipline that the account balance doesn't matter. It doesn't. Or of course it does to certain people who over leverage, of course. But is that ever going to be consistent? Well, in my personal experience, not just with my accounts, but with, people all over the world, no, of course that doesn't mean anything. They could have $50,000 in their account and lose every cent of it, just as much as if they would have had a $100 account, because they are not learning the lesson now. Do you guys really want to be funded and then just wipe out and just have catastrophic losses? Would you rather be doing that on a $20,000 account or a $200 account? Probably the $200 account, right? You're learning these lessons on purpose, and it sucks, obviously, but you have to recognize, guys, we're not taught this stuff. You're learning. Nobody understands emotional intelligence or number management. If you can't do it with $200, then don't worry about getting funded. When you really should be worried about getting funded, for example, is when you have a system where you have taken $200 and not flipped it overnight, but you have consistently grown it the same way with the same discipline over a period of time. That's when you should really be worried about getting a funded account. But again, I do also understand so many people get started and they think, oh, I need that funded account because that's the solution. I know how to trade. I'm not really making money yet, but that's just because of my account balance. So when I have a funded account, that's going to fix that problem. No, it's not. You see what I'm saying, guys? The problem is the question itself. The funding account changes nothing at all. Whether you have $100, $1,000, $10 million, the results will be the same. Just with obviously, well, not the same. The same things will happen. There'll just be bigger losses with a bigger account. And that's just the reality of it. But again, I do understand the human side of, again, guys, I completely understand. Nobody just, is so hyped about making $5 a day. But that's my favorite thing about saying making $5 a day, because it seems so ridiculous. Because people would get excited. Guys, what if we're going to make $5,000 per trade? How many of you guys would just, just be crazy with excitement? Not just you guys, but in general, right? Nobody gives a shit about $5, but everybody would give a shit about $5,000, right? But the connection is that it's the same thing. It just takes time. You remember, guys, the reason why I put it that way, and I'll hand it back to you, SJ, after this. What is stopping you right now from going from $5 a trade to $50 a trade? What do you have? What have you convinced yourself of is the reason why? Because the way I see it, there's not a damn thing in the world stopping me from, again, putting in a 0.01 to a 0.1 or 1.00. Nothing. Except for, of course, account balance, but we've already discussed all that, right? So there's no obstacle in the way, like a promotion or a boss or a certificate or a degree or any of that. It's us. The moment that we decide, oh, I'm the problem, is the moment change is created. Always remember that.
Whew. Let's leave it there. That was epic. I need one more hashtag Blue Dragon to take this call to $500. Come on.
Oh,
No more.
now you're about to bump it to 1,000.
No, that's done there. Fucking epic, guys. I appreciate and proud of you all for staying the line and staying on the call. Yeah, I fucking love these calls. The last couple have been really friggin' epic. So Mike, thank you for your wisdom tonight, as always.
And thank you guys for the time.
It was bloody hoot. Guys, thank you again so much for getting on. Really, it means a lot that you guys show up. You guys don't have to be here. You guys don't have to stay on for an hour and a half. There's like, we've said a million times, there's comfier things you could be doing. My ass is very numb. On that note,
go stretch.
I appreciate you all, and let's get it, guys. Have a beautiful week, and next week same time there may be a different link. I'll sort that out. I'm sorting out my Zoom, but yeah, I appreciate you guys. The recording will be up, and if you want this converted to a podcast, I think the vote was yes for that. I think that could be cool, so I'm looking into that as well. All right, guys, appreciate you all. Thank you so much, Mike. Have a beautiful rest of your day. All of the Americans on here, have an awesome day, and the Aussies, sleep well.
Love you guys.